people believe that they don't belong to Africa. So let me kind of triple up and double up the name. So if you miss one, you could catch the next one. You understand? See? So any part in Nigeria, we find artifacts with people sitting in meditative style with ankh placed on their shoulders, the arms. In Ghana, all parts of Africa you go, you're going to find the ancient Egyptian culture inside it. Mbuntu, that's how we call it.
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu.
Ooh, ooh.
Ubuntu, right? Give me the correct.
It's U-B-U-N-T-U.
Ubuntu.
Yeah.
Good. Europe. It's why, you know, I've become very critical, you see me here. Because I'm thinking. I'm not just taking things for granted as it is. I look at a piece of work yesterday or day before yesterday in the museum. It's very nice. I must give the brother credit for how we did the work, you understand? But when I started to look at the work, I began to see the Eastern background in it. From the time I see it, I see Easterners. And I'm asking myself, I say, what is this brother from the East? Or is he following Buddhism? Is he following what is he following? Now what did he do? He take the Eastern, come to understand that he spent time in Russia. Apparently he kind of grew up in Russia. So you remember what I said from the beginning, right? Thought process, the psychic, right? The process, cognitively, you understand? The constitution, right? States of consciousness, states of mind, right? So he grows up, or whatever time he spent in Russia, right? But it has such a great effect upon him that he takes what he call Western culture now and place the African on the pictures or on the screen that he's using. My question here, there are so many Africans all part of the place. Why couldn't he take an African? He has a brother standing with a sword. And I could remember I've seen some African brother, warrior with a sword. And I'm trying to picture him again, but only come to realize that this brother, he have only a Sean John suit because he bring it in the modern, you understand? But who did he copy? That brother with the sword, who was he copying? An Englishman. And I'm saying, isn't this ridiculous? What about Mansa Musa? Yeah. What about Shaka Zulu? You see where we are? Because the mind, you understand, thought process, right? The psychic, right? We are endowed, we are taught, we are created by Western supremacy at this point. So everything we do, we must include the Westerner. We have to bring Western into everything we do because that's our what do you call it? That's our whole perimeter that we function in right now. We are our whole belief system. That's where it is. If I should tell you now, well, you know what? Let's all drop the Western clothes. And just, some of you all could sew and all of that. Let's just make get African cloth and sew them up. And it doesn't matter, right? Let's put on them old shoes and them Timberlands and all of these things, right? We got people who could make some shoes. I could make what we call sapat. They call it flippers here. I could make that with wood and rubber. Oh yeah, I could make that, right? So if I say, let's drop all of these things and let's start making our own creation. Now, let's start doing it. You're going to see what will happen.
You have more Europeans here than black.
Yeah, because of the culture that we comes into.
Yeah.
You understand? It's nothing to blame you about, but it's something to understand.
That's right.
Once you understand what is happening to you, then you can take steps in order to relieve that yourself from this type of a bondage that you find yourself into. Philosophy of world religion that emerged during the 6th century AD. Buddhism, Pythagoreanism, Taoism, Confucianism, Zoroastrianism, Jainism, and I would say even Christianity, Islam, Judaism.
Jainism, I ain't never heard that before.
Oh yeah.
What is that?
Oh, they all, those are Eastern religion. They're something just like the Buddhist business. Confucianism, you have a Confucian, right? God, Zoroastrianism and all of them things, right?
And that was during the 6th century.
That's the 6th century.
Islam and Christianity didn't come till much later. This is referencing the 6th century upheaval.
Well, the way you put that out there, too, you're going to fight me up with
right.
that. Well, that's all right. That's all right, yeah. Good. 6th century, right? All of these things have come out. Why? Because the displacement of the Egyptian population. The priests and priestesses travel in all parts of the place, and this is how the religion start coming up all parts of the place. So they didn't just spring out of the earth. Gautama, who is considered to be Buddha in the sense, he didn't just come up, he didn't create no religion. He come and he meet that day. But they all were traveling on the backs of the ancient Kemetians. All these religion here. It's why when you began to look at the religion and you began to do your research, and parallel when you began to see, you've seen all of them, how close they are, the connection, and how based upon the timeline, when we began to look at timeline of these religion and them, and we go back, then we realize ancient Kemet is about 10 to 12,000 BC conservatively. And all these religion that coming up in the background here is like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. While the ancient, the time we're speaking about is when ancient Kemet was going down, not when they was in the high glory. See that? And then they try to tell you, well, you know what? Mesopotamia, what does Mesopotamia have that they didn't get from Kemet? Who was the people in Mesopotamia?
Greeks? Is it Sumerians or something?
Yeah, you could call them Sumerian, the ancient, they were the ancient, they call themselves the Blackhead also. I forget the name now, but it's a very short name, right?
Dogon?
Say that again?
It's the core, they call them core people.
Twa?
No, not the Twa. It's when the name come back to me, right? Right? Before this place called Babylon and all of these places, today's Baghdad and all of these places, right? They were the ancient, under a priest, or the priest, as a matter of fact, represented the culture inside some Colossus or Dacarus or something like that, right? Is the one who carried again the ancient teaching inside it. When you look at the Mesopotamian system, in terms of the gods and goddesses, they all situated and come up the same way, like the ancient Kemetian gods and goddesses when you look at the tree of life. You want to see it? Go into the Museum of Natural History in New York and go into the Asian department, and it's going to see what takes place inside there. How, in the Asian department. Go inside there and you're going to see for yourself. Go and you'll see the same crown that Osir wear on his head. You're going to see the priest and the priest, right? Sitting with the crown on his head, and the writing tells you straight hiding anything. They all follow the path of the ancient Kemetian. But you've got to read it and understand it. So it isn't anything really hiding as you may think. But because we are conditioned to look away from ourselves, as I often try to say, we are so external that we doesn't understand how to look inside. And because of that, we are always being led by others, right? Because we are following more of our emotions rather than we follow our in-depth quality as who we are, being gods and goddesses. This is setting one here, fighting the Hyksos and the Hittites and all of them. Let's move. Lo, truth, lo, the miserable Asiatic. He's wretched because of the place he is in, short of water, bare of wood. Its paths are many and painful because of mountains. He does not dwell in one place. Food propel his legs. He fight since the time of Horus. Egyptian Mysteries, Volume 1, right? I mean, you all read history, right? What the ancient Asiatic, is they doing the same thing right now? They're doing the same thing right now. What the Taliban and all of them doing?
They said we the Asiatics.
We are not the Asiatics. The Taliban and all of these people, you don't realize it's the same thing they're talking about? Woe to the miserable Asiatic. He's wretched because of the place he is in, short of water. He has to be traveling, so he becomes more of a nomad type of people, moving from place to place, and that makes him dangerous. Because let's put it in common parlance, when someone is hungry, you gotta be very careful now, right? Bare of wood, place is cold, they have no wood for fire and all of these things, they can't cook food and all of these things. Call them miserable, right? Its path is many and painful because he lives in the mountain. Remember in Russia they were trying to conquer them all the time? Russia went into the mountain and figured he could have conquered the Taliban and all of these people. What happened?
Yeah, yeah.
Good. That's where they live. That's the territory, that's the homeland. Good. You go inside there and figure you could beat them so easy. They are mountaineers, man. See? So the scribe is telling us along the line, woe to these people. Why? Because the Persians, the Asians, all of them, they come into Egypt. And they're bringing in anything into Egypt, but they're coming to pollute the land, prostitute the land, ravage the land, and take what they could take. They're coming to build anything, but they're coming to break the culture that is inside there. So you've got to be careful with these people. And there's the same Asiatic people. Let's go again. Now, good. So we're coming down now. The impact of foreign culture on the psychic of the ancient Egyptian, on the ancient Kemetian, 6th century to 1000 AC. The introduction of Judaism, some Cushites adopt Judaism. Christianization period, some adopt Christianity. Islamization period, Aksum city, Cushites and Arab merge. Nubia was the last place to practice the ancient Egyptian religion and thus also the last to convert to Judaism, Christianity and Islam. Today, the Nubian living in southern Egypt consider themselves to be ethnically as Nubians and at the same time nationally as Egyptians and spiritually as Islam. What going on here? Huh? You see what happening here? Huh? How people confused, right?
Yep.
Are we much different today? 1 minute when we come here, you understand? Before we leave, before we come to America, right? We were Africans, right? When we come to America, we were slaves, right? Then from slaves, we becomes, I don't like to use the N word. You understand? And then we becomes Negroes, right? And then we become colored. And today what we are multicultural, right? Are we much different? African American here. Are we much different? Where we are? So the sister who write the book in terms of syndrome, what they call it? Slave syndrome. You see how much post-traumatic slave syndrome. So you see kind of syndrome we have? You see what's going on with us? So you see the downfall Egypt, because all of this culture come inside there, they wrap it, right? And because the last vestige too, they come up now, 1 minute there is, well not 1 minute, they identify themselves as ethnically as newborn, then nationally as Egyptian, and spiritually as Islam. Not a whole confusion, you see? So I say here, the way of Maat is forgotten because of the adaptation of other gods and tradition. You see where we lost? You see where the downfall is? Because Maat is forgotten.
That's right.
When you forgot Maat, then you lose it everything. So all the wars and all the fight that we are fighting for what we consider to be truth, right? If we in ourselves are not living truthfully, right, we still lose the battle, right? Because when we find, let's say we gain, let's say we get what we call, how they call it, repatriation, how they call it?
Reparation.
Reparation, right? Let's say we get reparation, right? What are we going to do with the money?
Popeyes, big super Popeyes, super duper duper.
You see?
Go give it right back to the white.
You see? Because why? Because we are not prepared in ourselves.
Mentally.
You see? Look at what is taking place with us, how our people are getting killed all along the line, and we don't know what to do.
That's right.
We're depending on other people to take up our battle, and we follow other people who are leading us to more trouble. Because why? We in ourselves has forgot the road of righteousness because we adapt. Or as a matter of fact, we become assimilated into a next man culture through the adaptation and the force of the European concept of white supremacy. I have to dominate you, and I'm going to dominate you at any cost. Doesn't matter. Break your will. And if I break your will, I hear a lot of brothers that be running about and say the white man freed them. You believe the white man freed you. You go ahead with that nonsense in your head. White man freed you? Then you want you to believe that. I mean, look at it. I've been looking at a document right now in Colombia, 1821. The slave period in 1821. One little white drunken slave master have all these amount of slaves among him. And when he ready, he rapes the woman. They can't do nothing. And the young girls, they can't do nothing about it. The men, they can't talk because he have a fella, his name is Portuguese, you know. He have a Portuguese with a whip, like he don't sleep at all. Any little thing, he come out in little cabin. What going on here? What going on here? And beating them to death. And I keep saying, I said probably it's because the area I in, and I must believe to myself, I really free too. You understand? because